Welcome back folks to a new Crimson Desert video. Today we're gonna be going through a new patch, or well specifically the patch 1.08, because Pearl Abyss is not stopping. It has been 6 days since the previous update and 4 days before that, so within like what? 10-11 days, Pearl Abyss has released 3 updates for the game, which is incredible. But this update is great because it adds a pond in your Greymane camp and a baby Wyvern as a pet, along with various bug fixes and stability improvements, and guess what? Kliff can now also use a musket and a shotgun, which is really nice. So I've spent a better part of the day going through everything, so first off we're gonna be starting off with new additions. They finally added a slot to equip tools. So certain equipment that was previously equipped in the secondary weapon slot can now be equipped in the tool slot. So your tools like the logging axe, the mallet, shovel, broom and so on will now have a specific tool slot, which is quite nice, especially because I'm using two-hander a lot and sometimes it can be just a bothersome thing to switch between like tools and then going back to the two-handed sword and so on and so on, so this is quite nice. So the tool slot can be found in the quick slot menu below the secondary weapon slot. Also keep in mind that quick slots for mask and circlets have been moved to the armor tab of the quick slot menu. Next thing is that they added a pond to Howling Hill and Payloon camp. So as you can see here, you have to complete the pond construction mission to build it at the Howling Hill and Payloon camp. You can directly release the fish from your inventory into a pond or add them through the pond management mode. Having multiple fish of the same species will gradually increase the number of that species, so keep that in mind, at a rate that varies by species. You can also use zoom in and out while in the pond management mode to observe the registered fish. Now fish may die if the number of the registered fish exceeds the pond's capacity. However, legendary fish will always remain in the pond regardless of the number of fish or their lifespan, and only one can be registered. Also, legendary fish can no longer be sold, used or discarded. Additionally, previously sold, used or discarded legendary fish have been restored to the player's inventory. I mean, it's quite nice. We can have our own pond, we can put our own fishes in there, so that's nice. I mean, it's a nice little thing that they added to the camp. They've also added 20 species of small animals and a baby wyvern that can be registered as pets, as you can see here. So baby wyverns will be able to grow and be registered as a mount in a future update, so stay tuned. This is what they said. I know a lot of people were asking for it, so yes, wyverns are actually going to be a viable mount in the future. But the wild ones can now be temporarily used as mounts after being subdued. It's a nice test to see how it's going to actually perform once it's fully out. Another huge change is that Kliff can now use muskets and shotguns. Yes, that is actually the case right now. If you're playing with Kliff mainly and you don't want to play with Damiene maybe, well, this is going to be now a very viable option because, well, you can now use, as I said, those muskets and shotguns. And honestly, I know this was a very much requested feature by the community, so again, I'm also glad in this case that developers are listening and they have been allowed for Kliff as well. But for Damiene and Oongka, they've added a skill equivalent to the focused aerial role, so you can now use it as well with those two characters. They've also added a function that allows you to silence tied up outlaws. I know this was also a very much requested feature by the community, so I'm also in this case glad that developers have added this because, well, if you're gonna be taking a bounty on like huge like distances, especially if there is no like prison or there is no like a jail nearby, they're gonna be repeating the like same voice line over and over again, which was kinda annoying, so now we can silence them, which is very nice. They've also added blueprints that allow you to craft superior branches using special tree branches and branches at refinement level 10, because why not? In one of the previous patches for the game, they've added tree branch as a weapon which can drop if you're cutting down trees. So now they're expanding on it even more, which is cool, I guess. Now, as far as the content goes, there is a lot here, so bear with me. So first off, they've added a function to instantly refine equipment using a selected refinement method without having to select materials. This is really good, especially if you're gonna be changing a lot of gear and you just don't want to do the same action over and over again. So quality of life wise, this is very good. They've also added mass craft paintings and craft fine paintings missions. So if you want to go and have them in your camp and actually like resell them if you want, well, you can now do those missions as well. They've added timber and stones as reward to logging and quarry missions. So this is especially good if you haven't finished the quest yet to like provide all of the stone and wood to Carl in the camp. Well, now you're gonna be able to do it a bit easier. They've also adjusted the size of items inside the claw machine capsule so prizes can be viewed more clearly, because in one of the previous patches they've added a claw machine which you can now play with, and yes, to be honest, it was a bit difficult sometimes to see like what thing I'm actually gonna get from those capsules, so now it's a little bit more clearer. They've also changed the tree branches obtained from logging trees to rough tree branches, which can be used and stacked, as I already talked about in the new content. They've improved the infinite arrows abyss gear to function for bullets and cannonballs as well, so keep it in mind if you're gonna be using Damiene a lot. And also cats can now be taken in even after carried. They've improved chairs placed during the house decoration so that characters can now sit on them more naturally. As far as the keyboard and mouse goes, hovering the mouse over different options at the barber now allows you to preview each style without using it, so again, very nice. As far as the reblockading goes, it has been extended because reblockade will now happen at bandit camps and ruins as well, so they're expanding on it even more, which is good. They've also improved the puzzle experience at the disconnected truth abyss. I remember this one, it was a little bit confusing, so I'm glad they're actually working on the abyss puzzles as well, just to make them not easier in a sense, but maybe easier to recognize what should I do in this case, because sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. Also, griddle cooked and pan fried dishes have now been separated into fish, meat and vegetable variants. They've also improved fish traps so that fish can now be caught with them, so this is another big change. They've improved the quality of certain outfits, but they haven't mentioned exactly which ones. Also, as a part of ongoing improvements, certain 2D visual assets have been replaced to better align with the game's art direction. So this was also something they've been doing for the past 2 months, like a couple of images and like just paintings were AI generated, they fell into the game. Somehow it happens, especially for a game this big, so they have been changing all of those 2D assets, not just those ones, but also the ones they were not happy with, to make them better for the game. As far as Kliff goes, they've improved the appearance of certain helms, and also they improved the silhouette of the Balkandor plate armor so it appears more natural with various cloaks. Now, as far as the controls go for keyboard and mouse, they've added a keyboard shortcut P that opens and closes the photo mode menu, and they've improved the input system so that all inputs can now have a secondary key assigned to them. They've also improved the shortcut customization so that shortcuts for inventory, map, skills, journal, photo mode and menu can now be freely assigned. They've also been improving the photo mode so that invert camera X-axis and Y-axis options from these settings are also applied. They've also improved the camera movement while aiming while riding Blackstar. They also changed the pet interaction with pets so that it's only available when aiming at them. And also they've improved the pet interaction with pets and horses so that it is cancelled when using an evasion skill. As far as Blackstar riding goes, you can now also use blinding flash while you are on it. They've improved the camera so that it faces forward after loading screens that appear when escaping from the abyss, resting or assembling, and also they've improved general Blackstar's controls and camera perspective. As far as combat and action goes, they have two for Damiene. So first off, they've improved the additional strike effect of two-handed cannons and also improved the chain attacks following an unarmed dodge. As far as UI goes, they've improved the map to allow separate markers to be placed depending on the current location. So what does this mean? Well, markers placed on land will only appear on land, and markers placed in the abyss will only appear in the abyss, making it a little bit easier to kinda organize in general. They've also added a tracking marker for the map that appears on the minimap at all times. And also they've added a function to filter by weapons in skills, then search. Now, as far as the rest of the improvements go, they've improved the UI so that completed knowledge entries and quests can be viewed more easily, which is very nice. They've also improved the inventory so that items that cannot be sold are more clearly indicated when sorting by price. And for keyboard and mouse, they've improved the inventory so that items can now be examined and discarded by right-clicking them, so it's a lot easier to do it that way. Now, as far as the graphics and settings go, there is a lot here, so let's go through it. First off, on PC, they have added ray-traced sun and moon light shadows. You can find them in the settings, then graphics, so this is actually how it looks. I mean, it's a nice addition, you know, to ray tracing in general, so cool. They've also partially improved GPU load in high resolution environments that exceed 4K resolution. They've improved objects placement so that placement indicators can now appear when placing objects on water surfaces. They've also fixed an issue where the FPS value did not display correctly when NVIDIA DLSS frame gen or the Intel XeSS frame gen was activated. Honestly, I didn't even notice that. They've also fixed an issue where distance vegetation would occasionally flicker. They've also fixed the issue where the light would appear smudged when the light quality was set to medium or lower, or when ray tracing was turned off. They've also fixed the issue where the fog would appear on the ground in certain situations. As far as Mac goes, Metal 4 is now active by default in devices with macOS version 26.5 or higher, so if you're using Mac, well, this is going to be that change. As far as Intel goes, they have fixed an issue where the screen would not display correctly when Intel XeSS 3.0 or the Intel XeSS frame gen is enabled on Intel Arc A series products. As far as the localization goes, they fixed various localization errors and improved localization quality across all languages, but as always, nothing was specified. And for the end, when it comes to other minor fixes, there is quite a lot here. Now, I'm not gonna be going through every single one here because I'm going to leave you a link down below so you can check it out, because there is a lot here and I would just be, as always, repeating myself. But one of the bigger things maybe is that they fixed the issue where wagons could not be switched at the Wagon Master. I know a lot of people were talking about that. Now also, the name of the one-eyed jackals has been changed to Lonely Jackals, so don't be surprised if you see this new name. They've also fixed the issue where special mounts could be sold, so now it's gonna be working properly. You now cannot sell them, which is very good. And also they've increased the trust gain by feeding Mercury to the Iron Eagle from 5 to 15, so now you need less than before. And that's everything they have wrote for the patch 1.08. Honestly, I'm very happy for this update because it brought a lot of fixes and improvements and changes into the game that I've been looking forward to. And they have been listening to the community a lot, bringing in pretty much all of the major stuff people were talking about and also expanding on some of the stuff they have been previously talking about. Now, so far, I haven't seen any big bugs when it comes to this update personally, but you can always let me know down below in the comments what is happening with your update and your save, because, well, when you have a game of this size, it is impossible to experience all of these same bugs for everyone. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what else Pearl Abyss has for us, because they have been working incredibly hard on this title. Like, truly, like, I've been covering new patches for this game, what, every 5-6 days? It is absolutely insane to see it, because I've never been covering this many patches for a single player game ever. And honestly, I'm really interested to see like what else bigger stuff they have planned for the future, especially when it comes to like story content and expanding the map and all of that, which I'm pretty sure is gonna be coming, as they have been hinting for quite some time now. But that's everything for today. Of course, you can always let me know down below in the comments what do you think about all of this, and if you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated with everything Crimson Desert, then don't forget to click that like and subscribe button for more. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye.